BTB listeners, thank you so much for checking out today's episode. Listen, if this episode inspires you, do me a favor, take 5 seconds to shoot me a like and subscribe to the podcast. There are several more exciting guests that are in the pipeline, and I just can't thank you enough for your continued support, and let's keep paying the mission forward. In today's episode, I dive into the world of parenting young athletes. There's an epidemic in today's culture of parents causing harm to young athletes. I see it all the time as a coach. I've experienced it too myself as a parent. And it's an opportunity to learn and adapt, grow and adjust based off of what I've seen over the last 20 years. We talk about the importance of parents supporting in a positive and empathetic way, focusing on effort over results, cultivating a supportive environment, managing emotions, and leading by example. I dive into the importance of value of the journey in youth sports, teaching resilience, and prioritizing the well-being and enjoyment of children over winning. We need to do better as parents, and I hope this podcast will influence and impact you as a listener.
Don't be afraid of the dark. Be careful with stars. Not every light is gonna guide you, baby.
Welcome to the BTB Project, designed to empower listeners to identify their why and to live their best lives no matter the circumstances. My name is Kollman Gearhart, a former athlete and motivational coach. I've had the opportunity to inspire thousands through my story and help accomplish what they are built to be. You'll be encouraged by each and every episode, and let's get into it.
Yeah, when I blow up, I'ma soar high like Peter Pan. In real life, be living out my dreams. If I'm waking up, it's in a foreign land.
In today's episode, it's time to have an honest conversation. And it's a unique perspective that I have because here I am as someone that's coached athletes for over 20 years, but I'm also a parent of 3 kids. All 3 kids are involved in athletics, and we're facing a pressing issue within a lot of the youth sports that I see. This message is for all of the sports parents out there. I see the demand that requires our attention as parents, the collective action that we need to take to maximize the opportunities that we have for our kids in sports. And, it's just crazy to me because you see so many parents that live vicariously through their kid. With my situation being a former Division I athlete, playing a sport at the highest level, being able to look back on those opportunities of what my goals were, what made me tick, what my ambitions were, that was all about me. And now fast forwarding to later when I become a parent, here I am having the opportunity to truly be a support and a complement to my child's athletic success. And I think a lot of parents can learn from their own children, because I certainly have. There's no right way to support your child in athletics. And I know that sounds kind of crazy to say because there's so many different opportunities based off of what your child needs are. I think a lot of parents miss the mark because they assume from their own past life that they know what's best for their child. And whether it's the thousands of kids that I've coached or being a parent of my own kids, I'm telling you right now that every kid is different. Every child has needs and desires that are different from one to the other. So I want to encourage parents of athletes to tap into some of these thought processes as your child embarks on their journey. Because we all know that athletics doesn't just develop somebody with a skill set and a result, it also develops who they are as a person and the type of person that they're going to be contributing to society once they're done playing their respective sport. What first comes to mind is we really need to, as parents, reevaluate priorities. Let's consider what truly matters in youth sports. It's not just about winning. There's so many times that I see the results be the most important aspect of a child's athletic success. And I say all the time on the BTB project about embracing the journey because it's in the journey that you learn so much more than being at the mountaintop. But it's about fostering a love for the game that you're tapped into for personal growth and enjoyment. When we shift our focus from results of an overall experience, both as parents and children, you can find greater fulfillment. Everyone always asks me all the time about my tennis career. Oh, where'd you play college tennis? Did you play on the tour? Who was the biggest name that you beat? And I always take that question and I flip it back around, talking more about how much I just enjoyed the process, how much it meant to me to push myself in a way that I could have never imagined, for me to overcome the obstacles and adversity that a lot of people on a day to day basis can't overcome and fall victim to. And I found a lot of satisfaction falling in love with the journey than I do with the result. So, whether it's someone asking me about my past or it's talking to other parents when I'm at my own children's athletic events, we're always talking about how beautiful it is to go to these practices every week, how beautiful it is for our kids to bond and to do life together, yes, through sport, but to do it socially, to do it in a peer group is so incredibly gratifying. I'll be honest, a lot of the things that I've done in my success, the trophies are down in the basement in a box with a good layer of dust on it. And my children, as they've had success and they've accumulated trophies or awards, yes, you want to celebrate it. You want to acknowledge the accomplishment, but that doesn't define them. So reevaluating that a priority as a parent or an athlete, child who's an athlete, is critical. We also got to recognize the signs. We got to reflect on the behavior we witness at sporting events. I remember going to a basketball game at one of the former high schools I used to coach at, and it was a huge rivalry game, girls basketball, evenly matched teams, and the home team ended up edging out the away team by a basket. And I remember after the game being in the hallway of the school, and as the home team came out of their locker room after their post-game team chat, I remember seeing the coach coming out, and all of a sudden, two people from the visiting team, two parents, jumped the coach of the home team, literally jumped him, started throwing punches, beating him into the ground, and having to find a way to get those people off of the head coach because those parents were mad that their child lost the game. We're talking about people that are just so irrational, and we see this all the time. It's not just people throwing punches at coaches on the ground. It's parents harassing referees. It's people pulling out guns at events. It's literally out of control because it's not just a an every now and then occurrence that we come across this. It's happening, I feel like, every week. Listen, children are already overstressed, anxious, and sometimes brought into tears because of what they're putting in athletics. And these are red flags that indicate the pressure that they feel to perform. So whether it's signs of the behavior of how parents are acting at sporting events or how our kids are walking away from them, it's important that we are a critical role in alleviating this stress and creating a positive environment. As parents, win, lose, or draw, be proud of your kid no matter what. Tell them that they did a good job. Tell them that they put in great effort. Now, are there some times where kids don't do that? Absolutely. You have that conversation, but you always start by saying you're proud of them. We're not expecting to have this crazy expectation of constantly, playing at 150% and winning every single game, match, or situation that they're in. But we got to start recognizing these signs. We got to listen to our kids. How many times as parents are you truly sitting there asking open-ended questions to your child about an event or a game without any guilt or condemnation? You're just simply asking how they're doing. And listen. Keep your mouth shut and listen at that point. And that's one of the most powerful levels of support. It's not by always encouraging or what you're saying as a parent. It's simply by being there and being a listening ear. That's not just athletics. That's life. And you got to also understand the impact. There's a fear of failure that can be paralyzing for young athletes. Most of the coaching I do today with high school athletes is getting them to perform without overthinking the potential outcome that they've created in their head because they've been paralyzed by the fear of failing. It's not just about losing a game. It's about underlying beliefs and anxieties that come with that. When people have tough games, when people don't perform the way that they want to, or they're in fear of not performing the way that they want to, being able to help them acknowledge those fears and talking through it with them, that can help our child develop resilience and a healthier mindset. Everything that happens between the ears with athletes, it's tough to coach that into somebody as a coach. But as a parent, we have the opportunity to do that on a daily basis by interacting with our kids and doing life with them on and off the court. It is not simply about just their athletic pedigree or what they bring to the table with their goals and desires with athletics. It's understanding the impact of win, lose, or draw and to help them walk through those fundamental aspects that they feel. Because if they feel that anxiety, that stress in the moment in their respective sport, how do you think they're going to feel when they go into adulthood and go into that first job or go into that marriage and have children themselves? There's going to be so many opportunities where you have these ebbs and flows of insecurity and anxiety and not to how to handle situations and feeling uncomfortable, but being able to be a voice of reason, a listening ear, and understanding the impact. Huge. As a parent, a lot of parents out there of young athletes, you got to ask yourself, are you part of the problem? Or are you part of the solution? Be part of the solution and ask yourself, do you want to contribute to youth athletics, not just for the benefit of your own child, but for the benefit of the movement of young athletes in general? It's time for a paradigm shift. We got to shift the sports culture. Start with your own actions as parents. Let's prioritize our child's well-being and enjoyment over an obsession with results. The results are awesome. I Completely understand it. Just as it is to have an awesome result, you want to know what else is awesome? Are the teachable moments. Are the moments where things don't work out for those young athletes. And instead of feeling like a loser, they feel like a learner. They feel like they took something positive away from an outcome situation that wasn't ideal and they got 1% better. Those are the types of young athletes as a coach that bring fuel to my fire, absolutely light me up because I know that if they're able to overcome that type of adversity and have the type of positive mindset to be self nurturing and help understand the importance of being able to know that adversity is going to happen, not if, but when, and how to attack it in a way that is inspirational, that is enduring, that's lasting. Watch what that does to a child's life. Not only for the participant who's acting that way, but for the parent who's leading in that way. Our children are so impressionable. They are watching into the stands of how we're handling situations based off of their results. And based off of their results and how we're handling it as parents is a clear indication of how they're going to handle their next steps. They're watching every single move. They're incredibly impressionable. So that's why it's also important too to focus on the development. Remember, youth sports is a journey. It's not a destination. And instead of fixating on these short-term result-oriented outcomes, let's focus on the long-term development of these young athletes. Let's emphasize passion. Let's emphasize hard work and growth rather than immediate success. I'm learning that a lot recently with finances. Everybody wants the quick buck. Everyone wants to be a millionaire, but no one has sometimes the understanding of the work that it takes to get there. And as a parent, as I've seen as a coach and in youth sports, our ability to start cutting off instant gratification and do the long play is planting seeds in life that will grow, that will be beautiful and resilient and extraordinary. So what type of seed planter are you? Are you focusing on that development in your own child? Are you allowing them to learn from their mistakes and trust the process? The process is a long road, but being able to stay on it, learn from your mistakes, pivot, adapt, and adjust accordingly will allow you to do things above and beyond your imagination as a young athlete. To be able to create a positive environment. I see so many parents that talk down at their kids for not achieving something in their athletics. They start pointing the finger. They start talking and belittling them. Well, guess what happens when you start doing that? Now you have a child that is going to start internalizing that. And then as they internalize it and try to go out and perform after that moment, they're going to have those voices playing inside their head as they're trying to perform, as they're trying to achieve their goals. And as parents, we're sitting there scratching our heads wondering why our child isn't performing. Well, have you ever thought about the type of words that you're saying to them? Have you thought about even not just the type of words? What about your body language? How are you showing up to their practices? How are you showing up to their match? Are you excited for them? Are you encouraged by them? Are you bringing energy to them? If not, then stop asking the question why your child isn't performing. Because if you're not a cheerleader and in their corner and they don't feel support from you, how are they expected to support themselves? As a young athlete, it is critical for us to be that type of impression on our kids. You got to cultivate a supportive and uplifting atmosphere when you're at these events. Our children should feel encouraged and valued regardless of the outcome, win, lose, or draw. And by maintaining a positive attitude and showing unconditional love, we can enhance not only their sport performance, but we can also enhance their ability in life. Emotions are something that come up often in youth sports. But are we recognizing our own emotions as parents and how they impact our child's experience? If you find yourself feeling stressed or anxious, consider stepping back for just a second from that situation. You're better off closing your eyes and taking a deep breath than to continue to be in that situation that's causing more conflict for your child. It's essential to maintain composure and provide a calming presence. That calming presence, it's contagious. As we're being positive, as we're having a calm presence, our children mirror that exact composure. And as they mirror that composure, watch what happens not only to their athletic performance, but their overall confidence, their overall well being, their overall mental health. Look at what it does to springboard their life by being the even keel, voice of reason, positive impact. Manage your emotions as a parent. Take the emotion out of it. Your life is much different than your child's life when it comes to athletics and their goals and ambitions. As always, emphasize effort over results. Shift the conversation away from outcomes towards effort. Encourage your child to focus on their best and giving their best and enjoying the process rather than fixating on wins and losses. Remind them that their worth is not determined by their performance, but it's simply by the output that they get. This has been an incredible challenge for me as a coach. I can't teach effort. Sure, I can motivate. Sure, I can encourage. Sure, I can inspire. But at the end of the day, they're the ones going out performing. They're the ones putting in the work. And their best effort, no matter what I say, is between themselves. It's a choice that they make long before the competition ever happens. But we as parents can always stress and strive for effort as a non-negotiable. You go out and give it everything you got. You leave it on the court. You leave it on the playing field. And if at the end of the game, the score doesn't reflect the outcome that you know you gave everything, that's a pretty darn good feeling. Notice how, even if it's not an outcome that we want, whether it's as a youth athlete or as a parent, there are so many opportunities to learn. And if you're learning and growing in those situations with great effort, I guarantee the outcome results will manifest. Michael Jordan, I always get a kick out of some of the quotes he shares about his success because everyone always remembers the game-winning shots that he makes and how clutch he was when he played for the Chicago Bulls in the NBA. But I remember one of his quotes saying, "I've missed 10,000 shots and I've made far less shots than I have missed." And being able to have the vulnerability to say that he's not perfect, to have the vulnerability to say that he makes mistakes, to have the vulnerability to say that he kept trying, still made mistakes, and it led him to a desired outcome by never giving up. That's an unbelievably motivational, encouraging moment. And I believe our kids, through effort, through putting in the work, can produce the types of results that they want as long as they stay grounded. And we as parents are emphasizing effort over results. Empathy is a huge component to parenting young athletes. Got to practice it. You got to put yourself in your child's shoes. Not live vicariously through them, but put yourself in their shoes. Try to understand the pressure that they may be under. Emphasize with their feelings and offer support without adding to their stress. Show empathy and understanding. We can build stronger connections with our children and young athletes by just keeping our mouth shut and listening to them. Notice how most of the things I've said throughout this podcast is more about keeping your mouth shut and keeping an ear open than it is giving advice. Being able to be present and a listening ear is by far one of the greatest hacks that parents can tap into for today's young athletes to encourage them, to inspire them, to give them hope. And that goes a lot further than any word that we can say. Last but not least is lead by example. How do you lead by example with your approach? When your son or daughter is looking up to you, model positive behavior, model sportsmanship, model a healthy perspective on competition. Your actions speak louder than words. And by embodying these values, you can inspire your child to do the same. I remember one time my daughter was playing a tennis match, and it was one of her first tennis tournaments that she's ever played. And she ends up playing a really, really close match. Goes into what they call a tie break. And it's really stressful because at that point, it's just within a few points of one another between you and your opponent to win a tennis match. I remember in that moment, really focusing on being present, watching her, encouraging her, but to not have the stress of the match be showing up in my body language and how I'm supporting her there as a spectator at the court. And I just kept my composure, even keel, taking a breath, not showing any frustration, not showing too much excitement, but just showing that I was proud to be there to watch her play tennis. And it was in that moment when she looked over and the match was in a pivotal moment, it was getting down to the last few points, and she had to make a decision. And she decided, based off of what she saw in me, that she's going to carry that same composure, that she was going to carry that same even keel, that she was going to tap into what she saw in me and see how it creates a potential outcome on the tennis court. Now, let me tell you what. It was that moment where I saw the ball drop and bounce twice on her opponent's side of the court, and the match was over. And she had won it. And that moment of her resiliency, of her ability to control her controllables, it produced the outcome that she ultimately wanted. But all of the times that we were at practice together and I had that same composure, all of the times that she had a bad day at school and she came to me and asked me, hey, can I talk to you about this? And had that same composure. Having that consistent composure on her journey allowed a moment to where she could find that same composure and consistency in herself. And as parents or as coaches, how beautiful is it when you see that light bulb moment of a young athlete or your child get it? Super powerful. Listen, let's commit to being the change we wish to see in youth sports. Let's be parents who prioritize our child's well-being and enjoyment above any result that they could create. Together, we can reshape the culture surrounding youth sports and ensure that every single child has the opportunity to thrive, both on and off the playing field. Listen, if this BTB episode inspired you, do me a favor and like and subscribe to the BTB Project. Better yet, if you know a family member, friend, or colleague, or another parent that needs to hear this message about their child in youth sports, send this episode over to them. Tell them how it impacted you. Tell them about some of the teachings and the tips and the lessons. Give them one or two that would resonate with them. We are in community here at the BTB Project, and it's doing life together that allows today's youth and athletes to have not just an awesome experience, but to have it be part of their building blocks of life. And well above beyond their playing career, they give back to society. They give people hope and impact, and ultimately are a light in sometimes a very dark world. As always, I'm proud of each and every one of you. And until next time, take care.
You're so